In this video, we will see how we can style or use CSS in ReactJs. As we all know that we use JSX in ReactJs, so we have different ways where you can add styles to your components, right? It is not the previous way like where we used to import or add style tags, or you used to import the link or reference files, you used to reference the CSS file in the HTML. All of that cannot be possible over here, right? And also we'll see what are the different ways you can add. So technically we have three ways of adding styling to our React components. So we'll explore all of those, and based on your use case, on based on the component use case, you can or you can go with any way, any approach you have. But yeah, it's good to know all the approaches which are present, right? For that, I have created a new React starter pack using the npx create react app. So I'll open that. So I'll open that in the Visual Studio Code, right? So with this, now I'll run my application. First, we'll see what is that we got. We already know what we are getting when we create the application using npx create react app, right? So it is loading. It's taking some time. Yeah. So this is what we got in our create react app when we started our React starter pack, right? Now, if you observe this particular file, right? So if you observe this particular file, you can see that the styles have been imported directly from the CSS. So first we'll see what are the different ways or different types where you can add styling to your component, right? So first is inline styling in React, which is passed as an attribute to the component, right? So inline styling in React, where you pass styles as an attribute to the component. Let's see how we can do that. Second is importing the CSS file directly into the JavaScript file importing. Third is using the CSS modules. We'll understand what is CSS modules and why do we need it, right? So these are the three different ways where you can add styling to your React component. Okay, so first one is inline styling. What is it? We'll see. Second is importing the CSS file directly into the JavaScript file, which you can see that is what we are doing here. And third is using the latest CSS modules. We'll see what is that latest CSS modules, right? So since you already have the CSS file imported here, so basically you will create all the CSS needed to that particular component and you import it. So you create the entire CSS file normally as you do, and you import it like this, import and the file name. This will give us access to, so see this class name. So since attributes on the JSX element go in the form of camel case, so everything in React.js is camel case. So whatever you have seen in normal HTML, those attributes like class, since those are reserved words in React, because we already have React class based and functional components, those are converted to some camel case, and technically any words which are 2 or 3, we combine it using the camel case syntax. Okay, so if you see the class name app and the class name app header and the class name app logo, all these have been styled. All these have been styled over here. So text align, center, app logo, height, app header. So this is the background color. So if I remove this and then reload my web page, see now the background color is gone. So it is importing this file into the React.js and it is applying all the styles based on the class name. So if you go and inspect it, in the element, so see class app header has got all the CSS properties which have been added in the CSS file. So it works pretty normal, no confusion over here. Let's see what is the different other way of passing the CSS styles. Okay, so that is inline styling. So when you are doing inline styling, okay, I am doing the inline styling on app header right now. So first what you do is you add a style attribute onto your component. So it is the style attribute. Now since you are going to write a JavaScript inside the HTML, you wrap it inside the flower brackets, and once you wrap it inside the flower brackets, you are going to supply the inline styling in the form of JavaScript object. Okay, JavaScript object. So now let me do this. So app header, and these are the different styles which I don't want to be picked up from here. So what I'll do is I'll supply it in the form of inline styling. So what do I do? Background. So I just implement all of those, but just remember these all are two words, right? So which is normal over here, like min, height, display, flex, justify, all of this, right? Always remember that in JavaScript or in the inline styling, you always give the camel casing. So if it is a background color, background hyphen color, then how do you give that in ReactJs? It is going to be like this. So I'll give the same properties, and it is going to be a string. So inside the quotes, right? Similarly, min height is going to be 100 VH. So if you add 100 directly, what this will be considered as, by default it will be 100 pixels. So default unit for any of the CSS is pixels, but here you explicitly wanted VH, right, vertical height, so you have to give it as a string, right? By default it will be 100 pixels, or it is pixels, right? And the remaining all things go normal. So display, flex, okay, and then align, that is going to be display, and align items, right? So again it will be align items will be camel case, and here you will give it as center in the inverted commas, right? And then you need to put the comma over here. So it is a JavaScript object basically. And then you have flex direction. Flex direction will be, so let me correct this a bit. So I don't know, it got some weird spaces in between, that's why it is getting a little confused. So let me bring it all down so that it looks cleaner for us, right? And yeah, so now I'll comment it down. Now it looks cleaner for us. So flex direction is column, and then we have justify content, it is going to be center, and then we have font size, which is calci of 10px plus 2 vmin, right? So same thing, you're just writing whatever it is there over here, and color is going to be white. So now ideally it will look the same way as it is, right? So see, now if you go on in the in your project, and if you inspect it, the header has two stylings. One is inline styling, that is element.style, and see all the properties which you have added have been appeared as an inline styling. So when you supply style as an attribute on the component, that is being converted as normal HTML inline styling, right? So this is the one way you can do, but the important point here you remember is that all the styles which are applying over here should be in the camel case. If it is a two word, basically everything should be in the camel case, and on the right hand side it is a string. Okay, so Other way of doing the same thing is you just create an object like this, constant app header styles. So this I am showing because let's suppose your styles are coming from some other place, or you're storing your styles in the state, because you can store in the state and you want to change the color when the user performs any action, or maybe you want to have lighter theme and a darker theme. When the user clicks on a button, it goes to darker theme, and when the user clicks on a button, it goes to lighter theme. Then you can store your styles in the JavaScript object and in the JavaScript in the React state. Then it will be very useful how you can change the CSS properties also dynamically using the JavaScript events and actions. So you just apply it like this, app header styles. So this is the second way of giving the styles. Either you can define the inline object over here, or you supply the styles directly over here, right? So the order of priority, right? So if I do this, right? Yeah, so let me give it as background color as gray. So the order of priority is, yeah, now the color has been changed to gray. So first, the highest priority is given to the inline styling, same as how it used to be in the HTML. And the last way of doing the styling in JSX is, instead of importing this way. So the problem with importing this way is that if you are having two CSS files, and in both of the cases, you have the same class defined, right? If you have same classes defined, let me do that. New file, app1.css. Okay, so app1.css, app1.css. Now I'll change this to gray, right? And I'm going to import that one as well. Now what will happen? I'm importing both the CSS files. So what happened? I could see the gray color instead of black color. Now nobody actually know that the CSS or the classes in both one and the normal file and the one file, app1.css and app.css, are being overwritten, and now it is affecting on the import order. So if you're importing the latest one, and if both has the same class, then the latest imported file will override it. So why do you want to have such differences, right? So to avoid this, to avoid the overwriting of the classes in the programming, what you can do is you can use the latest concept of CSS style, that is import styles. So before that, what we have to do is you have to create CSS module for that. So what am I going to do is I'm going to rename this file to app.module.css. So now it is not just a plain CSS, but it is this modularized CSS. Now what is the advantage of modularizing the CSS? Now all the styles in this file will be coming to the object, that is styles app.module.css. So in the previous case, it was not possible for you to store the styles in an object. Now if you want to import multiple styles, style2, right? And let me create another module, rename app1.module.css. If I want to import both of these, what can I do? I can import in this way and store them in two different files, module.css, right? app1.module.css. Now I have two style objects with me. So everything inside that CSS will now be present as an object, that is example app.module.css. So .app will now be present as a key inside the style. So if I console.log styles and styles, similarly if I console.log styles2, let's see what we are going to get, right? So I have saved them in a JavaScript object. Okay, so I have saved them in a JavaScript object, right? So see, all the CSS styles are technically converted into JavaScript object and some weird stuff, right? So now you can supply all of these directly to your class. So this is another way where you can avoid the overriding of the styles, where you are importing directly the CSS files into your project. But when you modularize your CSS and supply the styles, so like this uh, app. So instead of doing this, you can do style is equal to styles dot app, right? Similarly, you can do style over here. So style is equal to styles dot styles1 dot app logo. So what do we have here? App logo, right? So app logo. Like this. So you can supply the styles in this fashion, styles to app logo. Similarly, all the class names or all the stylings can be now supplied in this fashion. And also, what is the perfect use case of it? Maybe you are having light mode and dark mode, and in the light mode you're changing the order of CSS, and you want to apply altogether different. Then you can define. So now it is all which styles to apply. So you can decide if it is a dark mode, then you can apply styles.app styles file, or if it is light mode, you can use styles2.css, right? So this way you can alternatively use everything, and always remember that inline styling has highest priority over the imported files. So this is how you apply CSS onto your React.js components, and remember that all the attributes on the HTML or in the JSX are camel case, and also the CSS properties inside the inline styling are also camel case. These are the two important things which you need to keep in mind while you're styling your React components.